about that. Please have a look on your tables for some information. It would be great if you could fill out a survey after the event to let us know what your thoughts are. You can scan the QR code. And then next month, our Lunch and Learn will be Sarah Reyes, who is the executive director of SELA, which is Silver Lake Echo Park, Los Feliz Atwater Village, and Hollywood Community Outreach. So they're a group of an all-volunteer base that reaches out to their community members who need help with food, medical care, and housing. And they really demonstrate how important it is for all of us to touch each other and to be in community. I want to thank the staff at St. Paul's who also makes everything run so easily here. Thank you for Chef Tim for preparing the food, and for all the people I work with at Immaculate Heart, thank you for making it a joy to come and to do the work. So our elders who are here, thank you so much. I sit at your feet for teaching me the way to show compassion and love for everyone. So at this point, I want to introduce Sherry Purcell, our president and Principal Executive Officer of the Immaculate Heart Community. Will tell you a little bit more. Do you want to use this?
Thank you, Michelle. Welcome, everybody. As Michelle said, we have a lot coming up, so please check out our website for upcoming events. And we have a new initiative called Friends of the Heart. So please check that out. We want everybody to be our friend, so sign up today, okay? For those of you who don't know our history, I just want to share a little bit. We do have a documentary film that was produced for us called Rebel Hearts, which is available on Prime if you haven't seen it. And I think you can tell from our name that we started as an order of nuns, and that changed in the 1970s when we formed the Immaculate Heart Community, which is a lay community. We're not nuns anymore. We do not live in a convent. We call ourselves a community without walls, and we live all over the continental United States and in Canada and in England. We are men, women, gay, straight, married, single. We believe in inclusivity. We are a group of people who believe in God and live out our faith through justice and social justice activities associated with anti-racism, justice for women, justice for people who are unhoused, justice for immigrants, refugees, and indigenous people, and justice for the environment. Our Lunch and Learn series gives us an opportunity to live out our goal statement, which calls for us to foster access for all persons to truth, dignity, and full human development, and to strategically change practices and situations which impede such access. We have 3 pillars that we use to build our programming for the Lunch and Learns: education, pray, and act. Today we will hear from Matthew Vestuto, who is a cultural resource monitor and presently serves as chair of his tribe, the Barbareno Chumash Band of Mission Indians. Matthew will be educating us about indigenous culture and specifically about his Chumash tribe. Pray. We always invite you to pray from your own faith tradition on any issues that you will be hearing from Matthew today. And then act. We believe in putting our faith into action. So as you listen, consider one or more actions that you could take based on what you are hearing. Before I introduce Matthew more fully, let me offer a land acknowledgement for the land we are on today and for the land the Immaculate Heart Community occupies in Santa Barbara County, which is closer to where Matthew comes from. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano, Kits, and Chumash peoples. The property in Santa Barbara County was originally land occupied was land occupied and still inhabited and cared for by the Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles and Santa Barbara County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands, and we are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governance. May this be so. So let me introduce Matthew. As I said before, he is a cultural resource monitor and presently serves as the chair of his tribe, the Barbareño Chumash Band of Mission Indians. He earned his BA at the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington, with a focus on language revitalization, linguistics, and media. Matthew serves on the advisory board of Advocates for Indigenous California Language Survival. He's honored to have been chosen for the 5th cohort, 2024-25, of the Luce Indigenous Knowledge Fellowship, administered by the First Nations Development Institute. Matthew also enjoys being with community and making traditional ornaments of abalone and stone. He will talk about the history of the Chumash, history of the land we share, his hopes for the tribe, and also discuss the language and history and the Chumash connection to the Immaculate Heart community. Please join me in welcoming Matthew Vestuto.
I don't think I need this. Thank you. Haku, we've traveled from our territory just to the northwest today, and it's proper for us to acknowledge the where we are. We've left our world and the parameters of our world, and we're in another people's world, the people of the Kizh Nation, the Kizh people of the Willow Homes. And we were having a discussion earlier about land acknowledgement, and some people critique it as being kind of posturing, but it is a tradition to acknowledge that there are worlds outside of ours, and it's proper for us Native people to honor where we are and conform to it. And so we, Kian Kiala Kukume'es, Tunavanga Katamet, which is the name for the Mother Earth here, and the sun. And a lot of times people, in doing their land acknowledgements, go straight to the people. We acknowledge we're on the unceded territory of these people, but they glide right over the land. And so I like to bring attention to that and say that, you know, a lot of people talk about cultures, they neglect to talk about the culture dish, what conditions the culture, what supports and nurtures the cultures over thousands of years. And we also have to include the sun, because we are the children of the earth and the sun. And that's just how we see things here. And so I'm doing the slide thing here. I'd like to also thank everybody watching that I can't see. And I wish I could, but oh, it's working, but I don't know that. Okay. How do I go backward? This thing's buzzing. Okay, great, thank you. I am oriented. And now for something completely different. Okay. Haku samtanet masa chikwa na mama samtanet sakuta showet kasila Matthew Vestuto no ank Chumash katalwachasi lokakias hasha shimitskanakan. Greetings to everyone. My Indian name is Sakuta Showet. Means he's always asking me. It's a nickname that my linguist gave me. So there's nothing wrong with wondering and asking a lot of questions, so I'm proud to hold that nickname. And my English name is Matthew Vestuto, and I work in our language, and I'm Chumash from Ventura region. I'm chairman of our tribe presently, and I am also the president of a Big Tent Chumash-led nonprofit called the Lulapin Chumash Foundation. And we'll get into those organizations a little bit later. And yeah, my main work is in the revitalization of our language. And an offshoot of that has been also mapping our place names and getting into mapping place. Okay. Asjum is our word for shell bead money. And it's an important word. It's an important item in our culture. And it's the root of the term Chumash. Sorry, where am I? Oh. So just don't let the orthography, the writing system throw you off. That T and the Esh is the ch sound. It's the CH in English. So Asjum is shell bead money. It was made from these small olivella shells. And that was the occupation of people from Santa Cruz Island, today's Santa Cruz Island. And all the mainland natives would call the people from Santa Cruz Island Chumash because they made Asjum. And so they would also call the island Mi Chumash, place of the makers of shell bead money. However, when the Americans came, they took that term and applied it to everybody within our language family. So it's become misapplied, and it's kind of gives you an idea of a monolithic, huge Chumash national culture, which isn't true necessarily. The people from the islands called their island Limu, and that makes us wonder, what did they call themselves? What was their autonym? And the answer to that question is the same on the mainland among all the Chumash language families. There's a prefix that goes before the village name. It's alap, which means one who resides, and then you follow it with the village. And so we were village-oriented, village-identified people. And but today everyone calls us Chumash, and we're not going to argue. But it gives us a better intimate understanding of reality before the Spanish came, and gives us a grounded, we know what we're talking about more. This is our present tribal territories. It's most of Ventura County, some parts of Los Angeles County, some parts of Kern, and the islands are supposedly Santa Barbara County. So a lot of our memberships comes from the islands, especially Santa Cruz Island. So, you know, although we didn't form a nation, we did have kin. We had long-term economic exchange that went. It was so stable, our economic system. And that really is in reflection on our tribe's activities over thousands of years. I think that's really what they focused on, was distribution of goods. The anthropologists like to call us an advanced hunter-gatherer society because we had craft specialization. If there was a village near a quarry where we would quarry chert, which is a harder stone but similar use to obsidian for stone tools, that community would focus solely on doing that work, but their manager or leader of their village would make sure they get everything else they need to support them. And that's what our plank canoes, we're famous for our plank canoes. And that's what those canoes were developed for. They were freighters, and they would take goods within the whole circuit of the channel, mostly. You see the islands and the mainland form the Santa Barbara Channel. And so they would go a circuit through there, distributing items throughout the coast and the islands. And our mandate, our instructions in life is to gather the fruits of the earth. And so I think that's just, we really lived close to the earth and didn't stray too far from that mandate and just refined it by distributing goods. We lived in a wealthy territory with sea life and waterfowl, traveling waterfowl, and land mammals. There were no deer on the islands, so there was a lot of diversity in the foods. And when the Spanish came, we were kind of centralized at the missions. When the Spanish came, their introduction of items interrupted our economic exchange quite a bit, and then we were centralized at the missions. We didn't all join all at once. It was in waves. But then, of course, disease struck, and we suffered what they call 90% genocidal impact. And it's, I guess, a more clinical way of saying 90% of our populace died. And we were devastated. And then once, the Padres, it's very interesting. I like to share this because a lot of people don't know, but the Padres told us from the start, the villages you've left and even the lands we acquisitioned to support the mission, which is a tract of land used to be called Ex-Mission Rancho Number 1, but is also called Cañada Larga y Verde. They said even those lands will be returned to you when you're able to administer your own lives. And so they intended for the indigenous people there to become the leaders of the pueblo when they'd gotten done indoctrinating us. And so in 1821, Mexico gained its independence from Spain. And by 1833, they secularized the missions in Alta California up here. So they instituted a civil government, and that disempowered the Padres, and they came to us and they apologized for not being able to follow through with their promises. And after that secularization, the mission community of Chumash went to live on a couple different ranchos, and individuals sometimes went off to work on other non-natives' ranches, and so we were kind of splintered apart. And then during the American period, when the Americans came, that further dispossessed us from those little ranchos that we lived in. We were driven from those and made to live in rental homes and disenfranchised from our relative, our Mother Earth. And we were thrown into economic, we stressed we had to survive economically. And so the federal government of the United States came out here in 1850 or 51 and treated with about 18 headmen from California, by far not all the leadership of all the tribes. Out here, just for an idea, of the 300 languages spoken in North America, 100 of those are in the confines of today's California. It's the most linguistically diverse area of our hemisphere. And there's that many tribelets or smaller tribes. It's unlike anything the Americans had seen when coming across the United States. But they had been dealing dishonorably with Indians for a good while, and when they got to the West Coast to manifest their destiny, they didn't want to share, especially the coastal lands. They negotiated 18 treaties. These representatives of the Senate returned to Washington, D.C., but they were followed by business interests in California who lobbied them to not ratify those treaties. And so indeed, they put a 50-year seal on the treaties and stuck them in a drawer. And those are referred to as the 18 lost treaties of California, but they weren't lost. And 50 years later, tribes that were able to remain cohesive went for their rights once that seal was removed. And I'm really astonished. The people from like Kauai South formed a federation and bound their energies together to get their rights. And so by then, the Congress had taken the right to treat away from the president. So all of the reservations made after that 50 years in early 1900s were made by executive order. And they're all very small affairs. They're 90-acre res in Santa Ynez. Santa Ynez is the only reservation along the whole coast, really, from far in Northern California all to San Diego. There are no real coastal reservations, and that's by design. And I'd like to mention also, I just realized, I always knew that the tribes in British Columbia also lack treaties with the Canadian government, but I'd never thought of it as part of that trend of settler, colonist, dishonorable behavior once they hit the West Coast, and disenfranchisement of as many tribes as they could. They're pretty strong up there in British Columbia, and so we'll get more into that in a bit. But our land was never ceded by treaty. We were not party to those treaties that were that I mentioned earlier. However, in 1853, on June 10th, the United States government seized all of these territories after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, etc., and without negotiations. And so to this day, we lack what's called federal recognition or tribal recognition. And this is a term of being recognized by the federal government. But we still have our inherent indigenous sovereignty, which no one can take away. And we proudly assert that and work to gain strength in that assertion. But it isn't easy because there's a lot of limitations by not having federal recognition. But there is a criteria and an avenue to get federal recognition. However, it's terribly offensive. One of the criteria that is really offensive to me is they require us to prove cultural continuity or centralized leadership and governance since 1934. And nowhere in this whole process do they admit their own wrongdoing and effects on that limited our ability to have that. To me, I liken it to a molester requiring you to prove that the molestation didn't harm you in order to, gain something. And it's just, I'm not going to go to the offenders and apply for, I can't turn my nose up at it for being a leader. I can't say no to it just because I don't like it, but we have to think of alternatives. And my answer is to become the best we can be, put ourselves in a position of strength, and to gain support from our local friends and allies, and hopefully make some gains and give them a chance to soften up their approach and look at things realistically and accept some of the blame for what they've done. We'll get to that some of that stuff in a bit, but let's see here. Oh yeah, well, here we're going into it. So presently, our challenges are a series of legislations that disempower unrecognized tribes in California. While the federal government doesn't recognize us and just erases us, the state doesn't or hasn't. They've always honored the sovereign tribes of California, whether they're recognized or not. And they've had law that mandates honoring that and consulting with us on human remains or sacred places and protections, among other things. But there is a concerted effort on the part of federally recognized tribes here in California to use legislation and to basically make the state toe the line of federal law, which just honors the federally recognized tribes, sweeping us under the carpet. And it's a distressing time right now. AB 1284 has already been passed. We're going to work to fix that. The Native American Heritage Commission is supposed to help protect sacred place and human remains, and we've always worked with them, and we've always complained that, some of the people on the list aren't who they say they are. The list didn't have integrity. We complained about that for many years, not just us, but many tribes. I'm sure some of you have heard the term pretendians. Well, there's people that claim to be Indian but can't show how they are, and they're on this list. And so they've dragged their feet in fixing the list for years, and now they're rewriting the regulations, which, I don't think they existed to begin with. We asked for the old regulations, but they don't have them. They've been operating off of what they call underground regulations, which is illegal in the state of California. And so with the idea of fixing these, the list, they're actually using the occasion to get unrecognized tribes out from their consideration. The federally recognized tribes are influencing them in this. And I'm not a legal scholar, but my cousin says it's a violation of the principles of federalism. And that sounds pretty good, so I repeat it without knowing what I'm talking about. But then at the same time, they want to engage with us in the truth and healing listening sessions, which purportedly will manifest in some kind of healing. But we're already suffering state harm as we speak, further state harm. And I went to and testified at the Truth and Healing, but I was reticent to because, I'd really rather have them go around the state and tell us their truth. And truthfully, we did this bad and we did that bad and we did this bad. I don't want to share our woes because they could be adding to them. I don't exactly trust that they're that concerned, but I'm hopeful, definitely. So what we Kialakwai, we fix it. That's what we have to do. I'm sure you guys have that spirit. The same, that's, when you have lemons, you make lemonade. So I love the words renewal and survivance. Survivance was coined by Gerald Visner, a Native writer. An active sense of presence, the continuance of Native stories and rejection of victimhood and dominance. It's not simply survival, but an active process of resistance and reframing narratives to highlight Indigenous agency and resilience. And that's what we're all doing here. So, what do we do to fix it? It's not. Well, my Lulaping Chumash Foundation, we're very fortunate to have funding to get Chumash people out to our homelands, the Channel Islands National Park, namely Santa Cruz Island, what we call Limu, on a quarterly, if not 7 times a year. And you can see our mission statement here. We do also land-based education, and this is the avenue with which I teach language on the quarterly basis. And we'll get into it. So that's what Lulaping is involved in. And a word about our language. I don't have the website here, but at Channel Islands University, CSUCI, they host an online dictionary for us. And if you go to the About section, there is a brief history of our language, which has a really good rundown that I don't want to, say completely here, but I can touch on some of the broader points. We have 6 distinct languages within our language family, which is an isolate. It's unrelated to any other languages in California, and it's usually a sign of a very old culture. And indeed, the oldest human remains have been found on the islands off of our coast, dated to about 13,000 years ago. And so our language has 6 distinct languages within the family, and each of these languages had dialectical variations. And let's see here. I'm trying to go along here with the... So our last first language speakers died in the 1960s, which is sad, of course, but we're very fortunate because they worked with an ethnolinguist named John Peabody Harrington to record our language both in text and in audio. And so we are blessed with a wealth of notes and have the ability to revitalize our language. We have complex language structure, which is what's necessary. And it's just about work. And what's really interesting is I was reading a book on language death by a man named David Crystal. He's a scholar from England. And it's about language death globally. You know, some languages got wiped out in that tsunami down in back in the early 2000s. Just tsunami just wiped it out. Sometimes economics will wipe out a language. Some tribes will choose to speak a whole other language because they're grouped with them in doing work and they just abandon it. Really no moral judgment, it just happens. But our language lived 200 years after contact, which is an exceptional thing. And he used that as an example, and I was like, here I am saying, woe is me, but wow, that's pretty good that it lived so long. And I reflected on that, and I've come to the conclusion that, you know, the Spanish didn't have any overt policy against our language use like the boarding schools in the American approach. And so that's how, and plus, you know, when 90% of your populace dies and you're speaking your language, it's not a real big threat, right? We're already quite subdued. And so our language, our last people that learned it as their first language passed away in the 1960s, along with John Peabody Harrington. And it's routine for a generation or two after this occurs that the people want it back, and indeed we want it back. So we're going to do that work. And we're building, we like to say we're revitalizing language, but more importantly, we're revitalizing our speaking community, because we're revitalizing our community members who just happen to speak the language together, which it's bigger, you know. So we are small and humbled, but we're determined. And for the tribe, we have gatherings to keep the people together, and we're engaged in capacity building, and we have some land back efforts. There's a property we have that's a former village called Saakdikoy, and it means the place where they sun themselves. And Cañada Larga is a $6,500 ranch that's for sale, and that's the ex-mission Rancho number 1. When that went up for sale, we went and put a prayer on the land and asked that we be reunited with Chumash. We prayed to Chumash, Mother Earth, that we be reunited with her, if that's what she wants. If it's another parcel of land, let us know. Teach us how to hear and listen. And then after we laid that prayer down, amazing things happened. And now the Trust for Public Lands have put in an offer, and it's been accepted, and it's supposed to close in summer. They're seeking a conservation group to be the takeout partner who will be responsible for conserving the land and taking care of it. But we're negotiating a cultural easement that will give us legal binding interaction and access to this very important land. It's the oldest ranch land in our area. It's where our ancestors learned to become vaqueros, working with horses, taking care of sheep and cows. And it's time to heal that land because it is ravaged by cows. And so we're eager to work on that. Here is a nice rendering. Oh, wrong. Oh, I didn't even. Oh, sorry. Ventreno dialects. I thought, here I am moving. Okay. A group called SALT, you may know about them. They're a landscape architecture firm here in Los Angeles. Did these beautiful renderings of what we want our Saticoy lands to look like. It's just under 5 acres, and we hope to build a food forest there. And this is a ramada with ceremonial dance grounds and a place to gather. And then we're interested in growing all our native plants that we like to eat and harvest from, as well as non-native plants that we like. And so we're working on this. Right now it's a field of so-called weeds, but we're working on developing it, getting our water taken care of right now. And this is a topographical view of the plan that's been written up. And, it's going to support a number of developments that we need, both economic, health, community building, cultural place to keep our traditions going into the future. It's really a well thought out plan, and it's not set in stone. Everybody can always add to it, and so we're eager to. This little 5 acres is going to do a lot for us. And this is Cañada Larga. It is amazing. It's a very long canyon. And then besides the earth and how she can help us, then we're also very grateful and involved and interested in investing in people, our people. And that's why we're here, because your organization, Immaculate Heart Community, reached out to us. And, whoop, did I go too far? No, yeah, investing in our tribe. This is a tribal gathering we had for winter solstice in 2023. And thanks to the Immaculate Heart Community and a donation, I was bragging on you guys to the priest at the San Buenaventura mission, and he said, well, I think we'll match that. So we got, I said, okay, I'm going to go to the Presbyterian church now. But that was wonderful. It really was wonderful. We were so excited because we had been talking about developing a scholarship, and then we got a call from Nan and you all, and it just answered our prayer. And then it ballooned into a double, and we were just very, very happy to be able to extend this this support to our tribal members. And let's see here. We named it the Librado Scholarship after Quetzalcoatl, who took the name Fernando Librado. He loved reading, he loved books, and people think Librado might have something to do with books, but it had something to do with liberated at the time. And so he's instrumental in our knowledge that we have, and so we honored the scholarship by naming it after him. And this is Sylvia and her brother, and Salvador, and her children. This is Stephen Ray, and that's Scarlett. And then I think it's appropriate to bring up Nan Kano and Scarlett and Sylvia Tumamite. Thank you.
Isn't that wonderful?
Do you need this?
Sylvia. Is it on?
Try it.
Is it on? Yay. So for several years within our Immaculate Heart community, we have several justice-seeking commissions. And our commission on justice for immigrants, refugees, and indigenous people, and our commission on anti-racism as spiritual transformation, have studied the challenges placed before our native people, our brothers and sisters, for centuries, even to today. And discovering mother law and indigenous female elders, we, in the tradition of our own female elders, we determined to help advance the next generation. So we began the Librado Scholarship, which was matched, as we heard, by the pastor of Mission San Buenaventura. And he's promised to double it for us as long as he lives. Mm-hmm. So the band leadership, with Matthew at the helm, chose a wonderful recipient of our first $4,000 scholarship to Sylvia Tumamite. She is here. She's a beautiful young woman, as you see, with 2 young children. And she was working on her degree in social work because she is going to change the future. Mm-hmm. With a 4.0 grade point average, hello, mm-hmm. Sylvia is with us today.
You want me to stay up here with you? Yeah. Okay.
haku, liupashwashits, zantanet Soviet Tumamai, Noan Barbareno Ventureno Chumash. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. My name is Sylvia Tumamai. I am Barbareno Ventureno Chumash. It's a great honor and privilege to be standing before you and in front of everyone on Zoom as well today. A little bit about myself. I am a single mother of 2 wonderful children. I'm a full-time student at Cal State University, Channel Islands, where I also serve as the president of the Native American Indigenous Students Association. I am majoring in sociology right now, with the goal of earning a master's degree in social work. I would like to extend my gratitude to everyone here who has supported me in earning my degree. At times it feels as though the cards are stacked against me as a single mother, as a Chumash woman, especially as a woman. But I'd like to thank everyone who has helped me to ensure that I stay in school and that I earn my degree, because I do want to help out my community and marginalized groups as well. In Ventureno Chumash language, we express our gratitude by saying waya waya. So I would like to give everyone here a great big waya waya. Thank you very much for supporting me and for making me feel special today. I appreciate everything that everyone has done today. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, Q&A. I think that goes to the.
Any questions starting out? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
The Zoom.
Hello? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
You were speaking about Satakoy. Where exactly is that located?
It is up the river, the Santa Clara River from Ventura.
Is it near the city of or the town of Satakoy?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Satakoy, the little town, was named after the original Chumash village.
Ah,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions? Ooh, more hands went up. Saw you a second.
You know, in the diagram where you had 6 or 7 names, they ended in Eño, which is Spanish. And how do you explain that naming?
We left our villages to go to the missions, and there we, like I said, we experienced the disease and reduction, but also all the dialectical difference of our languages also were subsumed or died out there. So usually, where they placed the mission, that dialect prevailed. And then they, in turn, relate to the language there. They call it, by the mission, Ventureño, Barbareño, Purisemeño, Iniseño, Obispeño. The only difference is Santa Cruz Island is Cruzeño. There wasn't a mission there. But that's how we got those names to refer to our languages. Yeah. You're welcome.
Do you take people on tours to the Santa Cruz Island?
Chumash people. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, yeah, we do. Yeah, and we have a grant to get our Chumash people out there on the regular, but we, I engage in trips with other people. Like there's some research trips I've done, and I'm gonna go on a trip here on June 27th with the International Society of Religion, Study of Religion, Nature, and Culture, which is gonna be interesting. It's coming through UC Santa Barbara.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then how do we lay people get to take a tour?
Let's dream it up.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never been. I would love to.
Oh yeah, it is special, especially now it's flowering out there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll leave you a card.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. As we continue to do questions, we do have some people on Zoom.
Great.
So if they do feel like kind of putting it out there, we will be able to hear them as well.
I have a question for you, Matt. So you and I have talked a lot about our heritages and our land, and you still get to come with me and walk the land in Montecito, but that's going to happen, and we'll do this together. How can we dream into the future with you to share the land that we have been stewarding since 1943 and invite you back to pray, to worship, to meet and gather? You know our story of being flooded and swept away literally into the ocean.
Yeah.
And we're still hesitating on how to go. But will you dream with me?
Yeah, as long as it's still safe there. We don't
We
want to
won't let you
trap.
get hurt. No, but our community is very interested in this as a true part of land justice as we go into the future, so
Yeah.
that you will feel at home on the land that we've shared for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you know, we have friends up in Santa Barbara that'd like to join that.
Yes,
I've been there once, and it is so beautiful and serene. I mean,
we'll go up again pretty soon.
okay.
Question. Can anybody hear me?
We
Question.
do see Lucia on Zoom. If we can get her pulled up and see what her question is.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Matthew. I wanted a clarification. Did I understand that Santa
All right, one moment,
Inez?
Lucia. We're still trying to get you connected to the audio here.
Okay, all right. Tell me when you're ready.
One more moment. Thank you for waiting.
The volume's down.
Lucia, can you give us a little test?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Thank you, Matthew. I
Thank-
would like a clarification when you said that Santa Inez is the only reservation. Did you mean the only operative reservation that is being honored by your tribe? Or
Oh,
is-
It's the only tribe that enjoys a reservation and federal recognition from the federal government along the whole coast. Does that clarify it for you?
yeah. Is there a lot of activity now going on with that reservation? And are they also your group?
No, they're a related group, but a different group.
I see.
They're
Okay.
the San Ynez people. They speak a different language, and they have a casino, so they're doing a lot.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Any other questions here or on Zoom? Okay, a couple more hands went up.
Yep.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Sylvia. I'm really impressed to hear about your work and your linguistic work and the fact that you're trying to stabilize the language, bring it back. Is that common work among different tribes, or are you unique in that?
Oh no, it's a hot topic since the 90s. Tribes have been working really hard at doing this, and I'm very fortunate to be on the board of advocates, or ICLs as we call it, because I get exposed to everybody in California. I get to help them, but I also learn from them, bring it home. And then I also know people in Washington and Oregon and elsewhere. It's a popular, and it's an important endeavor, because languages are dying at an unprecedented rate.
And it's such an integral part of your identity, right? And to have that threatened is problematic. So thank you for your work on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Today's LA Times talks about the administration going after organizations that use land acknowledgement. and as sovereign nations, do you have protection from this administration, or is there any fear or anticipation of any intrusion on your rights?
I hadn't thought about it because we don't have federal recognition, so we're already at a deficit. So we should go under the radar, you would think, but that's they have religious freedoms. I mean, we should be able to practice our religion, right? And honor the earth and the sun. I mean, I don't know what to say. They're making it to sound like the Christian organizations are being attacked, right? Christmas and all that. You know what I mean? It's like they project like they're victims, but at the same time they're victimizing others. So I would hope that the courts wouldn't uphold something like that. I haven't felt it yet. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elsa, and I'm originally from New Mexico, born and raised, Las Cruces. And since I do a lot of public speaking as a roller derby announcer, and one of the things we do with Los Angeles is we do our land acknowledgement, and I try to always do that. And I just kind of, I have a very simple thing that I say, but I think it's deeply important, especially from where I grew up and seeing how Native Americans were treated where I was, and what happened to them later on in life, especially people I spent much time with when I was younger. And I just wondered if you could just offer any advice on land acknowledgements for people who will continue to do them regardless of any situation.
Yeah, it's good to honor the land in the name of what she's called there. And if it's a he, accept it. I was thinking to myself, God, what if the earth deity down there is a he? All right, whatever. It's their world, just learn, ask questions, learn more about that or whatever, but honor the land by learning its name, because it's a living being, it's not just an object. And the sun too, from that perspective, from that world, there's many worlds, it's a multiverse, right? Why not honor that? So these people, there's the Green Patriarch from the Orthodox Church that passed away some years ago. They called him the Green Patriarch. I think his name was Peter. But he made it as pollution is a sin or is a sin against creation. And I said, well, I agree with that. And so if we thought about, if creation and the world is the diversity and that's the way that God made it, however you want to think of God, then homogenization is an affront to that, And to honor the diversity by seeing the worldviews of wherever it is you go is a way to stay grounded to where you are. And I think that's just really simple, but solid, Okay.
Any other questions in person or on Zoom?
Huh? Oh, man. I see something.
One of our great artists in our community, Sister Karita, led the way for us in justice and using language and words to improve the universe. And I think that she would love you. And
I follow her rules.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that, haven't we? So this one I thought was appropriate for you and to have in the office with the Leadership Council. And it says, to be fully alive is to work for the common good. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Nan. My goodness. Oh, I love it. Come on, Sylvie.
We have lots of hope for the future together, don't we? Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Waya waya. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nan.
Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Sylvia, for sharing your stories with us. And Nan, thank you so much for bringing this up so that we could embrace your story and show our support and be educated about these very important issues. So I'm thankful to everyone who's here today. I know I learned a lot, and that's always a really, sometimes an uncomfortable place to be in, to not know and not understand and think I know what it should be, but this was very humbling for me, and thank you. So all of you, remember, sign up for our upcoming events. You'll see everything on our website. Take a bookmark at the front, and then also on your tables is a QR code. If you are able to donate to support our work, we would appreciate that, but we want to make sure that everybody is able to attend our events, so we will continue that. Thank you very much. And if there's no more questions, wait a minute, and we have another question.
You had mentioned when we went to, I've got a loud mouth and I can speak pretty loud. You had mentioned going to the Sister Carita's Center in Los Angeles that was going to be opened in March.
It is open, and I'll send you. And yes, back to Art. So it is open, and I can send a link where you can sign up to go and visit. So that's all that you need to do. It's in the Arts District downtown. And then we will take some pictures here. So anyway, everyone, thank you so much, and we'll see you next month.